all the way from Kenya, from Strathmore University. Now, he's going to be coming in to talk about building sustainable networks for African. He's actually going to be sitting there and talking about building sustainable networks for African innovation hubs. Bernard, karibu. A big round of applause to my Ibiza friend.
How are you? I'm very honored to be here. It's my first time in Dar es Salaam, first time in Tanzania, and I'm so amazed by what I'm seeing. So many young people, hungry, passionate about innovation, about technology, and rightly so, because this is what is going to change your country. This is what is changing Kenya, and this is how you get to the future. Now, could I get the clicker? Yeah, so I mean, apart from where I work, yes, I am from Nairobi, Strathmore University, IBIS Africa. So IBIS Africa started out around 5 years ago. 5 years ago when we saw the potential that I'm seeing here. But we saw it in a university, and we are lucky to have been, Strathmore was lucky to have been the pioneer of mobile technology training in Kenya. And what happened is that people build apps and great innovations were coming up, but they did not have a platform. And that's why we set up the incubator. And I've been working there for the last 3 years. And because of that, I've met amazing people, including Jumanne, Jansin, Theodore here, my friend from, Netherlands, and many more people. And today I'm going to be speaking about, now let me learn how to operate this thing. Yes. Yeah, so I'm going to be speaking about a very important topic. And basically is this initiative that Jumaine is starting here. It's something that cannot run in isolation. And if you notice, Jumaine has actually involved so many partners. You've seen development partners, you've seen investors, you've seen entrepreneurs. But how does that happen? And why is it important? So I'm going to be speaking about how do you build sustainable networks for innovation hubs in Africa. Now, I also represent AfriLabs, which is a network of hubs and labs in Africa. And what you're trying to do is to connect these people, because we believe in the power of connection. We believe in the power of collaboration. Now, I want to start with a very interesting quote there. It's not who you know or what you know. It's how well you know each other. Now, that means you cannot invest in just knowing people, right? You also have to invest in them knowing what you do. And only when there is a common understanding can things start happening. So innovation hubs are great places where startups can thrive and the ecosystem, the innovation ecosystem can develop, but it can only do so if hubs are talking to each other and they are developing their networks. So this is kind of an overview of what I'm going to go through. One is, what can networks do for you as an incubator, as an accelerator, as an entrepreneur even? What is the value that we get from these networks? Then we're going to look at how do you create sustainable networks, yeah? And then what type of networks do we have? And then how do you leverage to maximize value from these networks? Okay? Yeah. So, I believe it takes strong networks to achieve anything. Not just build ecosystems, but real progress is actually achieved when you build strong networks, yeah? And if you look at the development of innovation in Africa and how things are going, the world is coming to Africa, you know. In 2015, Kenya organized the Global Innovation Summit, first ever to be held in the continent. And this could not have happened without these networks. And that's how powerful networks can become. And that's why we need to invest in them. So how could networks help you, you know? You know, and from a hub perspective, you know, innovation hubs are very new in this continent. I would say most, even the oldest hubs in Nairobi are 5-6 years old. And that means we are still learning a lot, you know. And, you know, networks are places where you can leverage on knowledge and knowledge sharing, okay? Right now, I'm in Tanzania, and it doesn't mean that I shouldn't be interested in what is happening in Morocco or Egypt. And it's because, as an entrepreneur, you're not just building solutions to solve local problems. You're actually building solutions for the world. You're looking at scale. And that is why it's very important to use these networks to learn about other ecosystems, to learn about where investors are putting their money. And you can only do that if you are talking to people in these places. And then again, networks are very important for developing ecosystems. Now, you know, Nairobi is taking very interesting shape right now because we attracted, you know, the whole world with M-Pesa, Ushahidi, and that got the attention of everyone. But only until recently we realized, you know what, it takes not just investors and entrepreneurs to make this happen. You need government to understand what you're doing. You need the support of policymakers, decision makers. And that is how ecosystems develop, you know. It's not all about money. It's actually about the kind of relationships that you're building that can help you. And then innovation. What is innovation? I mean, innovation in the simplest terms to me is actually solving problems in a new way while creating a lot of value for that. And I believe that you know, for your innovation to actually scale out of Tanzania, you need to leverage on networks. I was very happy for the entrepreneur who, I think it's Lillian, who's heading Jamii. And she's doing amazing work with insurance companies. But you realize that she has a very big dream to impact 3 million people in a very short time. This will not happen if she does not leverage on networks. And of course, one of the things that are actually very important for hubs is, you know, you have to know where you lie in this ecosystem. What's the quality of your program? Who would you compare yourself to? And why is that important? It's because you have to establish quality standards for everything that you do. And right now we have organizations like UBI Index that helps hubs all over the world to understand how do we compare, how do we rank. And it's very important because it drives you to actually become adaptive and to know how to drive your innovation agenda. And of course, growth, okay? Growth from a perspective of how far can your impact go? And do you have the resources to do that, you know? Influence is another thing. Now, in Kenya, we have a very vibrant tech community. They really talk a lot. And, you know, I am here talking to you, but I can tell you that I am in the same WhatsApp group with the Minister of ICT. And in that group, we are a group of entrepreneurs and ICT advocates. And we tell the minister, on the group, we have conversations on the group about issues affecting the tech ecosystem. And that shows you that you can actually influence and lobby, to get support from government development partners. And that's how networks can actually help you. And then funding, of course. Everyone is looking for funding, how to raise money. What I've found that is a big problem in Nairobi, and I believe here as well, is that the problem is that there is no money. That's not the problem. The problem is people do not understand the money. Okay? You need to understand your investor. An angel is different from a VC, is different from a private equity, is different from a DFI, and you cannot approach them the same way. So networks help you to understand the different types of investors and even to use the right approach to get funding from them. So what does it take, what does it take to build this sustainable, strong networks that can make all the difference? I think the first thing that you have to learn is the value of trust. Now, I know entrepreneurs sometimes can be very untrusting because they want to protect, their ideas, and they feel very threatened, for lack of a better word. And I've seen innovation hubs in Nairobi initially wanting to work very independently in silos, and you have to establish trust with relevant people for you to actually build strong networks. And trust is actually one of the most valuable human values that is important for anything. And I believe even in this, you have to build trust. It's something that you build, and you can only build if you invest in not only knowing different people, but them knowing you, as I mentioned. Then it takes an attitude of openness and sharing. And I think this is what has liberated or driven a lot of innovation, especially in the technology space. Today, we have open source technology that is changing the world. If you wanted today to learn how to build this table using 3D printing, you can actually do it using free and open source technology that has been built by very passionate entrepreneurs, but they realize the impact of what they're building and they've given it free to the world to use. Shared value. Now, what I believe is that when you go to a table, a negotiation table, if you like, you have to take something to the table. And any relationship is like that, okay? Even when you're dating, come on. There must be something that you've seen in your partner that is attractive. And that's what you have to realize, is that a lot of people think that, okay, we need to talk to investors, we need to talk to donors, to supporters, but what are you bringing to the table? How are you going to help that investor scale the impact that they want to drive in that country? The other very important thing is reputation. Reputation. What's in a name? And I will tell you everything. I am lucky to be in one of the biggest brands in education right now in Kenya, and that is Strathmore University. And I can tell you, because of the value of that name, that brand, we have been able to achieve a lot. And we've been able to open so many doors, okay? So you have to invest in building a strong reputation. Your hub cannot be associated with unbecoming things, okay? So, very important. Collaboration and adaptability. Now, collaboration, when it comes to innovation hubs in Africa, sometimes there develops some sort of competition for resources, for partners, for entrepreneurs. And there's nothing wrong with competition, but competition should be based on value, okay? Not on, um, anything else. So instead of competing blindly, learn to collaborate, learn to work with other hubs. And it's as simple as having a conversation, for example, with Jumanne and asking him, hey, how do you guys make sure that your entrepreneurs know how to pitch? He could share things that can build your model. How are you guys sustaining your hub? We're having challenges in funding. And these are the things that we are doing at AfriLabs, helping hubs to open up, to speak about their challenges, and to share solutions that are working. Then adaptability. Adaptability is very important because the trends are changing very fast. Innovation and technology move very fast. So you have to continually invest in changing the way you do things, evaluating how you do things, adapting to new trends. When I was in campus, I remember we learned about entrepreneurship in one of the elective units, and we actually built a business plan. And I would not, think that a business plan is important for a startup. What you need to learn initially is how to build a business model, because business plans are based on data that companies generate over a long time about their finances, about their market. So had I been told how to build a business model canvas, it would have been more helpful, because I would have thought what problem I'm solving, who my customer is, how am I going to make money. And this is the kind of thing that innovation hubs are bringing to very old ways of thinking and changing and helping them to catch up. So I think it's very important. So I'm going to go through very quickly this, the type of networks that hubs can create. The first one is inter-hub networks, and that is obviously talking to or being interested in what other hubs are doing in different parts of your country, different parts of the world, different parts of this continent. And one of the platforms you can actually be able to do that is through AfriLabs, because we try to give you visibility. I can tell you, I was reading a report the other day that the number of hubs coming up in Africa is amazing. We have more than 300 plus from around 100, less than 2 years ago. So these hubs are important to you. You need to learn how are they supporting their entrepreneurs. What can we learn? Who is supporting them? Why are they supporting them? And that is information that you can leverage to build your own ecosystem. Now, a very important network is the industry. Now, the industry is your business, corporate partners that are already investing in this country. Now, these are people who are looking for talent. They are looking for innovation. They are looking for building new products. It is very important to be in touch with what the needs of the industry are, because you can become a supplier to these needs. You can build the talent that is required. Remember, entrepreneurship is not just about starting your own business. It's a mindset. You can become an intrapreneur, meaning that if we put you in government, if we put you in the biggest corporate in this country, you can solve problems for them because you have the right mindset. So we are working a lot with industry as a university, and that has actually been able to give opportunities to our students and also help us to solve many problems for them. Now, academia and research, very important. Sahara Spark is an amazing platform, to help academia, get in touch with the trends, with innovation, with the needs of, the millennial entrepreneur. Now, research is very important because it drives economic development, social development, and as entrepreneurs, it is very important for you to understand what the universities are doing. So we encourage, universities and hubs to actually work together. Government, I was very happy yesterday that we had government represented here, because they create for you the environment in which you can operate as an entrepreneur, as an investor. And I believe until government understands what you're trying to do, what your challenges are, they cannot support you. So it is important to create networks with government, invite them, show them what you're doing, show them how that could change this country, the impact it could have. Policymakers and development partners. The World Bank made a presentation yesterday here on smart cities, very important. These are the people who report to the rest of the world and give statistics about DAR. They need to be giving the right narrative, okay? So it's very important for them to work with you. And of course, we have investors, mentors, and pipeline. These are the engines of any innovation hub, any incubator. You need to attract the right people. Now, people are at the center of any relationship that you want to create. So you have to strive to build ways of attracting passionate people who, they could wake up anytime you call them about a problem in the innovation ecosystem and give you ideas. Bright minds need to know that they are welcome, to work and develop solutions. Pipeline is one of the biggest challenges for hubs, and maintaining quality pipeline requires you to invest in ways of constantly attracting entrepreneurs to what you're providing. Let them know what opportunities exist. Let them know what is expected of them. Provide this information, very important. Now, how do you leverage on these networks? How do you make them work? First thing is you have to build long-term relationships. Networks are not built, on a single instance. You have to invest for the long term, okay? A lot of hubs want to attract funding now. They want to get money now. And they don't invest enough in understanding, what are my entrepreneurs really struggling with? What are the investors really looking for? What are their strategic objectives? Why are they doing this? Okay? So you have to invest in building long-term relationships, meaning that you're not just looking for a short-term event and then that's it. Then the other thing is help and ask for help. I've found this to be very effective. You'd be amazing how many people fail because they're too proud to say, I need help in this. How do you do this? As an entrepreneur, as an innovation hub, you have to be open-minded. And you have to be humble enough to want to help and also get help from others. Very important. Then you have to have very clear goals, because relationships are built on understanding, okay? So it's very important that there's a clear understanding of what are you trying to achieve, okay? How does that align to the people that you're talking to, okay? Very important. Yeah, aligned values and goals, and this, ties into shared value. I spoke about reputation. And thank you very much. I know this was a very short time to speak about building networks, but I think we have an opportunity here. There's so much support coming to this program, Sahara Sparks, and I think it can change the direction in which Tanzania is going. So thank you very much.